it!
Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Can swear that on the yard's honor. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. I'll seem to regular to me, sir. Wait, was Region a carnival household? How did it find its way to the hand of victim? Yeah, that's the same question. Can you shed any light? I think it's a lie. Aha! Could it be a different copy? No, yeah, it's the same subject. Well, Nara, what do you make of all this? Yeah. Well, the idea of invisible attacker has been troubling me all along. But at least starting to get the picture of what really happened. The book had no business being the scene of the crime. Let me show that Mrs. Garibel was hiding something from us. It's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. They strike the saving blow. This time, he's going to expose the whole truth about the mysterious affair. Okay.
Objection!
You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime, with the policeman assigned out to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere near.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described. No doubt it was blowing the wind across the street back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable B's word to that on Scotland Yard's home. But the bouquet belonged to me. There was nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because that is not only your bouquet we are talking about here. More than one thing is this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Beside Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garibal's book. Mr. Garibal's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garibal's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. Oh ho 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 ho, Bobby, trouble. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking sounds like you think my Rolly done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word a squirrely lawyer says? Waiting about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking what it is. Oh god, Mrs. Garibal's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mr. Garibal, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tempering, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah. But the person responsible for this tempering cannot admit it to it. For a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tempering? You barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such elaborate deception. There's some tamper with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence, all the testimony points to that one particular person. He's Beat boy. Counsel must demand you substantiate this conjecture. Why are you saying he's responsible for tampering? It can only be him.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you. What? A policeman? A man was caught in a yard. What nonsense, why will my Raleigh do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Miss Pete, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go on nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had tampered with it. You're making it up. It's all nonsense, you're all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whisker? Bet he was him. He did it. If that was true, Constable Pete would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Pete, it was after the offender had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First you make accusation about the landowner and his wife, and now you incriminate the policeman as well? But your accusation lacked on one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with, but there is only one reason anyone will commit such a reckless crime, to hide something. That's right, he's right. But my husband and just happened to be there, that's all. So why would I have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense. You offer no motive for this alleged tampering, and until you do, your accusation are nothing but empty threats. Constable Pete had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of this crime. That's the key of this entire affair. Mr. Ho, have you managed to solve this mystery? Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not to point out that your reputation is loyally irrevocably damaged. With a stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive of this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Constable Pete's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide. Where the victim fell to the ground. What his Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Byron Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. Well, in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? I think that the victim went to pick up the book that was fallen to see what the hell was that all about. Then it got stabbed while she was, going to grab it, and began to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that is your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my anybody's friend. Why you're proposing that the actual victim was placed that evening? You simply present this area?
Take that!
But that's... Oh my god, do I need to explain it? On the opposite side of the road? I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garib's book fell directly down from the open window above. And your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. Why did it move? Was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But this witness both saw the moment attack took place. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was a typical London fog on the ground. And you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beat, they arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. In the rate of 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things showing this print, the victim, herself, the four books. He moved everything flat onto the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. It's ordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Inside, he wasn't noticed until the morning. He lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, they could have seen the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet. That was found in the original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly Beat. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rolly, it isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said, all lies, isn't it? I know it is because you are the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out, everything exposed. Only seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good. Jolly! Good jolly! Golly? Golly? What does it mean with all this? Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Move our corpses is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be the one to. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respectable member of Scotland Yard, you do this to protect the good people of London town. I can't say so. What? I really am very sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. But why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime? I can't think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You are foreign, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. Yeah, the Lord Van Zisk. It is foreign who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it will be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotion are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind the men's actions. I'll give away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable action. Love? Kobe?
Take that!
I realize I'm a foreign in this land. I have only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called pub is completely new to me. I've learned that though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens of his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bob is charged with a great deal to each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the days in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes, it was our first very wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out of a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, that must have gone through the man's mind. Ah, sir, just on a particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mr. Beat puts up in a lot of being married to a popular me. I want to show my dear wife how much I care. This is a warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend me earlier. Inside, among the rules of patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigation and help detectives. Constable Beat. Is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said is alright. So that is. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh. Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Beat? Good gracious. Constable! You realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stick close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. Got reportees to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying. What that mean for me? Now crime is discovered on this beat. A policeman must assist with the initial investigation and help detectives. Why here? Why did that happen here? Why tonight? Of all nights? Why? It's a copper job to guard the scene of the crime, sir. I told Pat she had to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It came out. A couple of little words that were coming out of my own mouth. It's the next beat to mine, Beth. You have to go to the police box, take Cover Street, turn right along Merchant Street, and then... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted... that night, one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration will be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring speed care. You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. Beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did. Otherwise my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on freezing cold pavement. I see your meaning now. But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the Rosa box for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other side in total? 4. It was, yes, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Miss Natsume, and the 4th, being the one that fell from the window upstairs, is the Kariba's household, of course. But how made you place that book in the victim's hand? And all the others were scattered harmlessly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When I first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding a book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. I'm sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding. Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. The full book's information has been updated. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you look at it, had to be the fellow who ran out who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a lot of difference. I suppose this is for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Six. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my boy? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. Because I'm always mourning about him for coming home late. Leave it to now. Pal, let's go home. I'm tired. Alright then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Have that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Never again, sir. You mean to say... Leave now. His trial is not yet over. Sir! Well, quite startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanted the entire scene to the crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that accused Misoseki Natsume is the only person who could have possibly have committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife to the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Oh, Van Zisk, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted, the prosecution has no objection for the trial to continue.
Take that!
Excuse me? I'm afraid I was unable to hear you, Counsel. Again, please, louder this time. I dare my learned friend Timmy too. It's a reflection on the confidence he has in his answer. Ouch. There. The defense will once like, again, to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again. My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. He's imperative to cross-examine jurors number 4, Mr. Juan Garrido. Me? Oh dear me.
Objection!
That request has already been done.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garriba, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrido. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Lane. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open hinge casement window, the book palmed directly down. Finding its way, to what we know, to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you will lay your hands on. So let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrido. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back. Have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously. I'm supposed to remember everything I pick up and threw at my husband. Anyway, the man over there, the regardless said member of the jury, needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all! Jury's unhelpful! They're like, oh, you're so fucked now. Oh, make no mistake, your jurors are not special anyway. You are not immune to judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But this common old garden knife? I could have come from anywhere. I have several like that at home. If one is missing, will you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Miss Carter? Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear it at all that it injures someone, do you hear? I couldn't bear it. The poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove me that I threw that knife and it was what you think. It reminds me of someone. Come along, chop chop, do your worst. Oh well. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it here already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object to the defense request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zix. I'm going to have to testify? Jurors number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate having observed with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truth being unearthed, through which the witness themselves may not even have been aware. Oh dear me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrison. And mark my words, this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since I arrived in this country, actually feels real. I'm here, in the old ballet, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes. My name is Jean Gardeb. And I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. You understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dear me. Chin up, Johnny. Nothing to worry about now. Oh, didn't know you were here, John. Looks like Dr. House. I don't know why. I started to figure, oh, Dr. House. Was it only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think out to testify as well, potentially. But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that, or do you notice it? I'm not sort of a child to leave a comrade to face disempowering action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Miss John Garrett. Yes, sir, former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4 Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. See, my fair square of action now and living quiet life everywhere. It's a quiet life, where you're not engaged in these battle, which just flows the day in question. Well, yes, quite. Incendiary battle. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, jurors number 4, and that of your husband. It will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. So, at once. Yes, on the day of you're referring to, the wife and I have a bit of skirmish. Can recall the reason now. Knock a candle stag over and set fire on the carpet. Soon I had it out and got to the window opening. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can say if I noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bullet in the victim's bag really was one of ours, we have to job provenance, I think. It sounded as though it was quite a battlefield in your household that evening. Although, an entirely one-sided assault it seems. The enemy called us on the hoof, sir. Had no choice but to dig in to take offensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another meter, we'd have been toast. Goals are veterans such as myself. He's only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just another whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origin of this jackknife. Combat one's focused narrows such as the surroundings and are barely noticed. The witness may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. It may be at that end. And Sixer may be right. Well, whatever the chances. We only have these last cross-examinations to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. And I'm just gonna choose it. I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time. It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames when a woman wants to show she must show. That is most certainly not true, Officer Sado. Take it down, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband today? You cannot recollect. In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm not a monster. Let me see, some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, and a napkin.
Jupiter!
And a napkin?
Excuse me!
Excusez-moi! Do you have something else, sir? Mr. Garib. Don't shoot. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Your wire remark just now bringing something to your mind. Not for any significance, no? Just that the barrage of projectile, the old thing launched in my direction. Or somewhere more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the 5 poker, I seem to recall. The 5 poker? Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed direct with every volley! Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. There's a court of law. Oh dear me, I was so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such a thing as you, obviously. Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened? Your pipe, sir? I had this thing in my hand as usual, at the time of the onslaught. Knock it clean out in one of her soft projectiles. She did, yes. And when I went to pick it up, the thing, it was broken in 2. Like to see a sponge to do that sort of damage. I see your pipe was broken. I will never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing for now. You don't want to exaggerate it, aren't you there? My fucking god. She reminds me so much of someone. The defense believes Mr. Carey's remarks just now to be great significance.
Objection!
Object of your objection. These were veteran words only tell us one thing. Betrayal of theory 5 and pipes as well as heart may be broken. Sentimental wisdom perhaps, but hardly worth of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipes, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh dear me. Where you go again? Trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well, the court will accept gentleman's pipe as evidence. But you didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Susato, we have some new evidence. Work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you. The rebuttal, Mr. Curry. Now we could return to the crux of the matter. How can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victims? Plenty of knives. Okay. Just want to check some. There was definitely a card in there. Oh. Teapot. Oh, something twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What is this? If you recall, a fragment of metal, yeah. Yeah, if you recall, guys, the knife that had been thrown, the tip was missing. If I remember, I even said, interesting, the tip of a blade is missing. Of course, I assumed it was stuck on the body of the victim, but that is true evidence. It couldn't be. No, we'll take it. Ooh, wow, really? Okay, this is very annoying. We have to examine the knife too, even though we already know. Yep. Oh, look here, Naruhodo. Just at the tip. Small piece of blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it is missing? We'll be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this? Oh, that's the tiny fragment you found inside the Mr. Gary pipe. Just maybe. Oh my, this perfect fit. Somehow I just knew it. Just knew it.
Objection!
The witness last statement is clearly at odds with this piece of evidence. But no.
Objection!
To remember. Mr. Garib, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bloody thing. You can't? You used to call me Dead-Eye there back in the regime, of course, but that was some time ago now. You know, when I'm trying to enjoy a large print of book by the fire this day. I struggle to tell B from D and P from Q, and to be honest. Oh, he does. DMI is rather weary, wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dusty. Dusty, what the hell? What is that? A tiny scrap of metal. Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what that may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is a fact, a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garidab's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? You suggested that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing of Briar Road. I am. What? And put together with another piece of evidence I read in the court record. I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. You appear rather confident of extraordinary statements, Counsel. Very well, present the pertinent evidence to the court. The fucking knife! The knife! This knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece of the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals will use them regularly if the tips lodged in their victim's bones. And what is the particular knife? No doubt this tip has suffered a similar fate and now languished somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
No, that's the case. That's not the case. The tip of this particular knife blade is a very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gary's pipe. Good grief, Lord 1-6. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene? and this fragment of metal are perfect match. Good jolly gosh! Ora. Is this some sort of instant sorcery? This is not magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Francisco figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this story coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did fragment metal find its way inside Mr. Gary's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Had this thing had my usual time of the onslaught, I could clean out of her soft projectile as she did, yes. Will never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh dear me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mr. Garda flung his knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garda instead of striking a pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off. Of course. Good lord. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet there is no other credible explanation for how the tip of blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife which fell from the window of the Garrett house is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh. Oh my god, his eyes so burnt, I notice now. A full body tear, I'll give you that. You got a new bottle, I see. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to use my learned friend's characteristical Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it's just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see... with a leg. They should make a character with his massive, huge, humongous cock on the table. It's spoiled by insubordinable inconsistency. Insubordinable? Nani? Please explain yourself. What is inconsistency you claims you have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Ah! That's right, you silly little man. No, John, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts as the case went on. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and had fallen to the ground. If the knife had struck her, had fallen from above, there is no possible way it could have planted itself on the victim's back. Yeah. Yeah. Order, order. Alright, you see it exactly right. If the knife fallen on her from above. I already explained you all the whole thing, so it's just like, you know. You all have struck her on top of her head. So you're probably taking the book. Well then, His lawful looks, look. I knew it. Never liked his theory in the first place. And I thought it would readily happen. Really? It will appear that the fans has made rather a spectacular blunder. The theory has been one that is consistent and constant. Your theory, my learned friend... Wow, Jesus Christ. Is history. Is pissed. Why you have to make it so stressful? We already know the answer. We were so close I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now, why are we blocked completely? Why are we cock-blocked completely by inconsistency? Wait, in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency. The jury will stand. Mr. Sato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. Your mind went blank. My mind was completely fine. The game made me go blank. the plot. But if the path you were on indeed is correct, then a way will present itself. The key of this is the core record. Sure, all the information you need is there. God, it seems you have nothing to say. My Nipponese friendo! Well, your silence speaks volumes. That's it, acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. Yeah, it's completely burned.
Objection!
This considered doesn't mean what? This means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell off the victim from above, there's no way it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that it is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this. That explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. Surely it must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence which you speak. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. Okay. There it is. Done.
Take that!
Can go home. She probably saw the book on the floor and tried to pick it up. The ball book found at the scene. This is the final piece of the burned book. Is that not Mr. Gary's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But we all know it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Why so, as part of this wholesale transplanting of the crime scene out to the opposite side of the road? That's true, however. As part of this testimony, Constable Pete made an extremely enlightening statement at that point. But why made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim has already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up in her own volition. Volition? Clearly that must be before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she had been doing so much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have had that book in her hand? By jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what they may have happened now. Oh dear me. We know that the book fell on the top of the floor, carried half off on the pavement below. At precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book is true. Yes, Mr. Clarib, and what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking around the side of the book landing in front of your pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book, what position would her bag have been? That's right, facing the sky, completely utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, ka-cha! There. The next object fell from above, the jackknife straight to the middle in her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green was the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Well, it appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on from her from above. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there was never a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in the unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Doom. Doom. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Gardab. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicious. I wonder if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, Holbein. Oh, Miss Gardab. Of course, I never meant for anything of that sort of happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. Let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw that knife as well. John, dear. It's alright, I know. I'm very sorry. Truly. I'm sorry! Oh, somebody help this poor man. Lord Van Zisk, what news of Mrs. Gardner? She's been taken to the infirmary, and it will appear that today's events have left her in a especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, their cause, what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They should have to prepare themselves for the consequence of their action. There is some good news, however. Dear Lord, I just had word from the hospital that the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. So will not be trial for murder incident. It's strange we've been talking about the victim all this time, but we never once met her. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that's a good news. So, Misoseki Natsume? Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from distant as the homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? Told she had been killed too. So she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life from here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they are haunting me. Also, Seki-san, his imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when did it happen? I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires, and for that, I'm truly sorry. My uncle indeed said that some sort of mischievous spirits had been at work here, I think. Want to create a chain of unfortunate mishaps. You hear befalled by spirits, by these spirits will lead to false conclusion. But thanks to Lord Van Zisk and our young lawyer here from the east, the chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the forum of the juries, I can assure you we reach a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting for the all being will is out of action, you know, but I know what her decision will be. Does it mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say I'll have a corker of story to tell my grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
No, guilty. Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Hereby pronounce you. The bastard writing. That's how you call it, bastard. The style of writing is, I was talking about the font. Don't mind me. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It's my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. May you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir, of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set off in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Cause adjourned. Oh, lock him! Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another Lockham here? Is there even one? Compared to the original Lockham student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, my name has been rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last, I'm free! I'm free! Joyous, jubilant, jubilation! I mean, someone you call Naruhodo, someone Naruhodo. Heady, hearty, happiness, hooray! I am pleased, Mr. Natsuma is delighted. It'd be so hard to just sad then. Look, you did it. You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that. Lovely, loyal, Lockham, lawyer. Yes. I mean, as I said before, I just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. Or high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear. I'm sure it is all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you Lockham lawyer gave me a gleam of the boot. The boot? You stood from behind the baronial bench before the babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. When I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the bailiff's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!" God, that's very flattering. Very pleased. We are very pleased for you. You're giving me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friend back in Japan. Anecdote? What will become of all my hard work? There you are, my dear fellows. Oh, Sherlock! I apologize for keeping you waiting. It was late this morning. Oh, Mr. Jones, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm here not a moment too soon. The disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo. I wish you very best of luck. You just finished. What? No, my heart was in vain. Arg! It's you! Hello, Sholmes! Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? Oh, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounter have taken place in the gloom, either public lodgings or the prison cell. I think we couldn't place their curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault. Hello, Sholmes! You are the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you peace of mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned the poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Has she been taken to the hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she will have regained consciousness by now. Oh. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. Not about human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such experience. I don't feel very badly about how I behaved. Very well, never mind. Now then, that was what you wanted to say to me, sir. Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry, really. But that was quite priceless. Bososeki-san. Still on the bright side, you have an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And you'll see, you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the paper. Oh. Ovanzisk. I've forgotten you now. What facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be alright, Mr. Natsume. Huh? If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Hiya! Ah! Why me? The perfectly executed Susato takedown! Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be a nice next time, Miss Susato. Oof. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? Are you gonna keep studying? You mentioned something about recounting experience with your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited university, libraries, bookshops, and been honored with the tutelage of professors. I will learn so much about the wealth of literature here and the city that has shaped. I've come to realize it is my calling to sail home to tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Oh, in perhaps less field terms, I wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper Chaos. That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling closes in my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots, and time to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. The whole literature by Soseki-san. Will be an interesting read. Is the name of an actual author actually? Because they do that sometime. Because for example, Hosonagi is actual name of an investigator, a detective, if I'm not wrong. Like an actually that exists. I don't know when, but you know. What about Miss Susato and yourself, Miss Naruhodo? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside the mustache compatriot? Why will we? We just arrived! A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. Only now does it feel as though we finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lockings. Oh, the windowless room. But what it lacks is in windows is more than make up for with flow ceiling and walls. Great. Of course, we're happy to leave behind the cursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. He tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. You mean the cat? I think he meant the cat. While I think about it, if it's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodging with me? Woo! Yes! In 225 East Bakery Street! Oh, dream come true. Really? Well, a vacancy has completely presented itself. So it's up to the attic, can I add? I take it. Are you sure it's just a storage loft? I take it. We are in London. All the rent is high sky. I'll fucking take it. I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. It is simply wonderful. What an honor. Be invited. Take your lodging into the great happy office. Attic. I'll take it. I'm too overcome with words. I'll fucking take it. So I suggest we look elsewhere now, then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare our welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Wonderful! Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. I shan't take long. Somebody happy? Lokun, I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we are going to have to say goodbyes so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Lokun, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure of it. Hopefully by then I'll be successful lawyer. Hopefully by then I'll be a successful orchard. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I will little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, Isosaki-san's innocence successfully established, we roll with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home. 221B Bakery Street. Not too shabby. I've seen worst. I lived in worse places. So this is it. It's to be our new office, yes sir. Our office? I really like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? Hope you can see this, Katsuma. It's only a small step, but I like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh, we never saw him without the clothes. Oh, thank you so much. Is that the laughing room, Mr. Sholmes? I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone is hungry. It's near time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. Oh, I hate when the fact that Natsume is late. You're in charge of the salad. Splendid. You think this is gonna be bad? Hope not. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel? To have your own office in the capital. It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventure awaits us. Those were precisely my sentiment when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity and mirth. The brightest of lights. That's the darkest of shadows. Are we gonna deal with Jake the Ripper? Or the fake one, whatever you like to call it. John the Ripper. Shadows, what do you mean? Well, believe you are well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo! Welcome to London. what a creepy introduction, Sholmes. Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words, Mr. Sholmes. So casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we end episode 4 and we are gonna explore the next one very soon. And hopefully, hope you enjoy. Leave a like or subscribe or I don't know. And hopefully Natsume survived the journey back and doesn't die. I don't know if there's any archer called Natsume. And well, let's see. Have a lovely day and happy dreams.
deduction.